But it really is, it's a sign of love. Like, it's a sign of caring when someone has the ability to come to you with a problem and say, this is an issue. Because if they didn't care, they would just walk away. They wouldn't bother. And like the point you raised around you noticing that the fear of your clients leaving if you gave them the real hard truth instead of the people pleasing sort of acceptance that maybe the people pleaser inside you was defaulting towards. That flip, what can you sort of tell people, and what kind of insights can you give people about how they can make that same flip in their own personal lives with their family, their friends, their relationships, to go from giving someone non-constructive, abrupt feedback or no feedback at all to giving them tough love delivered in a pragmatic and constructive way?
Great question. I believe it was Jordan Peterson that said, if the people that you are talking to don't listen, then stop talking to them. Right? It's like, if they're not listening, then stop talking. But to answer your question, it depends on the context of it depends if it's a partner, depends if it's your best mate. There has to be, I believe, there's no black or white answer. There has to be context behind the scenario. Prime example, if you are a man who would attend the immersion, or I'm working with you in the mastermind or one-on-one, there's a level of permission that is already given in that engagement and in that relationship that you're willing to hear, no, that's fucking wrong, and you know why it's wrong. So let's talk about why you're avoiding doing the work. Let's go there, because it's not you that's now it's impacting. Your family feels it and your team senses it too. So like, let's go there. That's completely different to if I was then going to be sitting at home with a family member, my brother, my sister, my mum, my dad, or a partner, and then go the same way. So I think you have to discern in what level of permission you have with the person and how you can then actually go to them with the hard, honest truth. That for me is the first step. The second portion of the equation of how you could approach someone to give them the hard, honest truth, especially when it has come to my previous relationships, men always want to solve problems. That's what we are designed to do. We want to just solve a problem. We're like, oh, well, why don't you just do this? So you should just do this. And we immediately want to attack the problem and solve the problem, because that's how we are attached to us in terms of us doing what our job is, which is to protect and to provide and to solve anyone else's problems around us. So ultimately what would usually happen is when I would be confronted with a problem in my intimate life, usually I'd want to then just immediately go, oh, well, why don't you just tell her to do this? Or why didn't you just tell your boss to do this? Or you just got to fix this and you should start doing this. I'd always be on the back foot. I'd always be in not a defensive mode, but like, oh, just this is how I would do it. But we speak completely different languages. So I would always begin the frame, and I've begun doing this with my clients as well, and also with my male friends, where I would say, are you wanting me to hold space for you right now and just to listen? Or would you like my feedback or my opinion? That in itself straight away sets a completely different tone for them to want to engage with you and ask you either a question or just to word vomit all over you, because sometimes we just want to be heard. The majority of the time we want to be seen, and we want to be understood with the problem that we're experiencing. But not all the time do men as well and women want our problem solved. We just want to talk about it. So I would always then, in that second part of the equation, say, do you want me to hold space? And do you want me just to sit and listen? Or would you like my feedback? And most of the time they say, I just want you to listen. Or I'd love for you to listen, but then I'd love for some feedback. And then that level of permission is then given for you to be able to share your opinion. There is a phrase that I remember learning from Date with Destiny, Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny event back in when he last attended before the lockdowns, was the way to frame it when you're wanting to not come across combative with what you're learning with this person in this conversation. And at this time, we were going through a process to elicit someone's values and the vehicles that they were using to meet their top values. And the statement was, it is my hallucination that a person with these traits and these attributes or these values would be living or operating in life in this way. So the first portion of it is, it's my hallucination that this person would X. So what I learned from that in that moment was, I'm not saying, oh, well, Angus, you're like, this is why you're ruining relationships. This is why it's like I'm attacking you in that way. But what I learned was, if I said, well, Angus, it'd be my hallucination that if I was a person who modeled this from their father, who didn't have this healthy upbringing, who then had an issue with sedating themselves with drugs and alcohol all the time when they feel stressed and burnt out from work, and they're disconnected from their partner, it'd be my hallucination that they're probably feeling not like they're not worthy. They're feeling like they're failing themselves and failing their partner. And then what they're probably turning to, be my hallucination, is anything to avoid actually doing the work. Straight away in my mind, when I say that to you and I feel that, it is a completely different energy for me going, I'm pointing at you and I'm like prodding you and poking, making it personal. But there is definitely 100%, I truly believe, a time and place to be personal and to be more direct. And that's what's missing in coaching. That's what's missing in society amongst men, is we're not being direct enough. We're not being personal enough. We're wanting to gloss over and to have this global generalization of like, all men are this, all women are that, all business is this, all the system and whatever is that. And what we're doing is we're abdicating the responsibility to something outside of ourselves without it making it personal, to realize we are the problem and we always will be. And because we have created all of our problems, but we're also in total control of it, we can change it. And we do have that ability to do so if we choose it. And I think for me, it's either understanding, it's understanding the level of permission you have with the person, I think will dissolve a lot of that challenge that a lot of people have when it comes to providing feedback and honest feedback and constructive criticism.
Yeah, I really like setting the stage. The advice you gave around, would you like me to listen, or would you like to hear my response, is something that I've heard from other people before, and I think it's so powerful and so great. The other one, which is in the same sort of vein, is just sort of allowing or creating the space for some kind of discussion. And it is a way of disarming and taking the combative or the conflict out of it. And your reference to Tony Robbins' sort of phrasing, I think, is a perfect example of that. You know, it is my hallucination, or it is my imagination that this could be an outcome of someone in a similar situation. And it's not you. It's not so personal and so direct. I always used to like just setting the stage by saying things like, hey, look, I want to open up here and I want to have a connecting conversation. I don't want to get emotional, but, you know, obviously emotions are real and they come up when we say things, but I want to just take the moment to talk about something, and I'm not trying to hurt you and I don't want you to hurt me, but I just want to really get deep into this topic. And it doesn't have to be something, you know, that serious. It can be a little lighter. It can be more detailed. It can be a mantra if you need it to be. But even just sort of setting the stage and saying, hey, I want to have a real conversation here. I'm not here to hurt you. But if I say something that does hurt you, please let me know and we can stop at any point, create a safety net and set the stage for that moment to happen, rather than just diving in and being like, oh, by the way, here's something fucked up about your life, because that's really going to trigger anyone, right? Like,